I had something. I think this was to Ben's earlier point. I hope you guys can hear me. Um, yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Chiboka from Kampala, Uganda. That's in East Africa. I'm a Warzone creator, an aspiring creative entrepreneur. I'm 22, and I also run a gaming and esports brand in Uganda called Navvi Arudem. So I was just looking at Ben's point when he asked the question of how many of us have actually approached our governments in regards to esports. Yeah. So I think I would also pose a question there because I would look at, if you look at the esports pyramid, yeah, we're looking at basically you look at publishers first, then you have the players coming in, then you have the team owners, and then you have the teams. Yeah. So now the question there is, what role is a federation playing, unless the federation says that it has leads to contribute to, each sector in this pyramid, each section in this pyramid? Because my biggest question is, how does a government federation come in to help? Because we have seen so many federations coming up and all that, but what impact has been seen by some of these federations that have been created? Personally, I think I'll give you a story. I have approached the Uganda Sports Association, and we've had this conversation before. Obviously, this was something that was massively new to them, and they weren't so open-minded to it because very few of them did understand it, and I 100% understood where they were coming from. But then I asked myself, why tussle so much to create a federation? Why not do what I have to do through my private organization? That's kind of my biggest question. I want to see what role a federation is actually playing, because when you look at a federation, you ask yourself, how sustainable is a federation? How much impact will the federation have? Why can't we formulate private organizations, maybe build some sort of business structure around them, and let them carry out some of these roles that the federation would have carried out? Because federations are more inclined to the political infrastructure of a country, and once you kind of tend towards that way, there's so many things that hinder you. Most of the African countries, I know this is a very sensitive topic, but there's a lot of political instability in most of these countries. So if you have a federation inclined and has a bedrock of the government, I see that's kind of going to affect most of what we do. I would want to see more private organizations coming up and actually making some of these moves. So that's just kind of my question. What more can we do without federations? Do we necessarily need federations? And yeah, I think it would be.
Is that the publishers do know that we play the games that they make. They know that there are players that are trying to get online, but after it comes down to the player count. If we're still 50 or 60 players playing that actively, none of them is ever going to look at as seriously. And that number is increasing each year, which is very, very optimistic. But the problem is, for the case of Street Fighter, we were playing in the running for the Intel World Open for the Olympics, and we were 5 to 10 players here in Madagascar that tried to qualify, and two of us qualified for the Intel World Open. But the very, very downside of playing games online is exactly that. You have micro lag, you have dropouts from matches, and sometimes you can't even see the player that you are playing with online at all, even though both players are connected online. And there is another group here in Madagascar, it's the Counter-Strike community, and they have signed a petition saying that maybe Valve should look into a solution for that, because we gamers here in Africa are suffering from lack of connectivity, and it is not solely the internet provider's fault, but it's also up to the publishers. Like Mr. Ben Rubin has explained early on, it's the game publishers that have the servers, and it's up to them to deploy the servers into different countries in order to create more interactivity. And the good thing about the Counter-Strike community is that once they did sign the petition, more and more African players went with them in that direction. And now we have a Counter-Strike server in South Africa, and the ping is very, very good, even for surrounding countries. But that enabled us in order to play more seriously, and more of the players around the world finally figured out, and they came to their senses, saying that, wow, in Africa, we thought it was just Kofi said, it was just like deserts and just animals or something like that, but they never knew that there was a flourishing esports community going on in Africa and the surrounding countries. So coming back to that question, saying, why can't more private organizations work together in order to help the players and in order to create a more friendly ecosystem for everyone to play? I think the answer is the cost. The cost of making something like that happen in a country where it's just coming out of is still taking baby steps in order to compete in the world where everything is already well developed. While we're at a very, very big disadvantage, is that deploying something very new, even for large companies in the country, that still takes a great amount of money in order to find the right people, the right developers, the right technicians in order to install infrastructures like that. So I don't know if there are other people in Twitter space right now that understands the steps that we might need in order to facilitate this. But for the moment, for Madagascar's case, it's really down to the cost.
Ben, quick one. I was looking at, if you look at it from the publisher's perspective, yeah, we have most of these publisher organizations that they're built of business structures. It's a business to them. When I always see, I don't know if this works. I always see like petitions being pushed out, bring servers to Africa and all that. But again, I always ask myself, how much impact does that have when it comes to the business? If you're looking at it from a business perspective, when these publishers decide to put particular servers in regions, they don't make it out of a goodwill decision, but I think they make it out of a business decision. They look at how many sales, and generally they just look at the market. Yeah. So what I feel is missing locally is that one of the missions for federations, because I think this my discussion wasn't actually around the servers. My discussion was around what a federation is actually doing. Yeah. I feel like federations should come up. One of their biggest goals and strategies should be defining the esports ecosystem business-wise for Africa, and making some sort of report on this and actually showing various statistics, backing them up with particular figures. I know this can be hard, but at the end of the day, that's why I have federations in particular regions. And if this data collection is done and all these assessments are done, I believe we have enough people that can come up with good enough proposals to send out some of these publishers. I don't know if that can have impact, but I think Ben, you could give us more, because you work in a I think Liquid Telecom is across various African countries. So I'm sure you've looked at such statistics in which area to go, which area to open up an outlet and things like that. So do you think it's the same? Do you think my take is right when it comes to the publishers, or?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's a business for them, and they look at business demographics. They will look at the challenges. They will look at the challenges in delivery, right? So the challenges in delivery for the game publishers are lack of consoles, lack of numbers of consoles and PCs. In Kenya, I live in Kenya, by the way, and there are, according to one of the large console companies, about 25,000 consoles in the country. But they do not know, the game publishers do not know that a lot of those consoles are in gaming cafes where people come, and you might have hundreds of people using a console a week rather than one person using a console. They do not know that. They do not know about gaming cafes. So we brought Phil Spencer to the head of Xbox globally. He came to Nairobi. We took him, and he was taken downtown to see the gaming cafes and everything else. But the executives in the gaming companies, other than Phil Spencer, do not know this. They do not know where people are playing games. They see Africa as not being a great market. The basic stat is around mobile first, right? So most in terms of online gaming, most Africans are accessing internet on the mobile first of all. So the easier hook is into mobile gaming, companies with mobile games. But the big hook is that the median age in Africa is 19. They're going to be 1 billion people under 30 in this continent. If they're not already, I don't know the exact numbers, but we're talking about 1 billion people under 30. There is no emerging market like that they've got. They have. There's no growth. There's no growth in many markets in the world, and the basic demographics of youth and the emergence of connectivity that is going on is what we need to be telling the gaming publishers. The opportunity is what we need to be selling them, not their stats. They need to see the opportunity. You need to take them downtown Kampala, take them to a gaming dive and show them what's going on in a cyber cafe with a couple of consoles. They need to see the reality on the ground. And then they'll start thinking of products and development strategies for Africa when they understand the passion for gaming. But they're not seeing it yet because they haven't been.
That's a very so for me it's mixed feelings. At this point in time, I'm not sure what the federations or like what they want to achieve at this point in time. And as the stakeholder in the industry, if a federation is coming on board, what would the role of the federation be? In Nigeria, it's not exactly clear. We know we need the necessary support, but what is the federation going to do to make sure that a lot of things are seamless for every stakeholder in the esports industry, in the gaming industry? We've not exactly seen that clear vision. From my own, this is my own opinion now, and from the perspective as well. I know that in terms of the Nigerian Esports Federation, something was supposed to happen. There was a committee which had gotten a letter to be a part of, but things haven't kicked off yet because we've not done an official inauguration. So I guess I'm also speaking, speaking to myself, but we've not been able to draw out anything concrete yet. So every other stakeholder is like, let's continue with what we're doing in the private sector and not get. Yes, the government will get involved at some point in time, but we can't really say what the vision is for the government and for the federations that are coming on board. And then also in terms of the International Esports Federation, we see federations, we see global associations as well. I think I'm yet to see clearly how it impacts the industry, most especially in Africa. Is it just about okay, let's have this federation? What opportunities are they also creating for everybody in the industry? I'm not seeing a clear path yet, so that's why I said it's mixed feelings. There might be plans that we're not fully aware of, but we can't really see, or we're not seeing anything yet when it comes to federation. So that's why I said mixed feelings for me when it comes to federation conversations.
Okay, someone about this point?
Can I say something there? I think just to back Suzan up, I think when it comes to federations, I think I'll put it out there broadly that we don't need federations based on what I've seen. I've seen so many federations coming up, but we don't see what they do, And I think one of the main reasons why they don't live long is sustainability. A federation is not directly sustainable. I think I talked about this even earlier. You can't sustain a federation because of how it's structured. You have all these issues in terms of leadership and all that, commitment, and it's mainly done out of goodwill. Yeah, there's no direct return on investment of an individual in a federation. Some people may not directly see it. Yeah, so yes, we may tell people let's come together and let's all be one and let's all make this thing happen. But that is kind of out of goodwill, and that may not be so sustainable. And also, if you look at the culture, the culture around esports, I think even before we mention esports, we should look at gaming. Gaming at the end of the day, it's an entertainment-based activity that people just have fun doing. And to me, federations are not one with a culture. That's a term I love to use. We have to be one with a culture. When I look at a federation, I look at a body, I look at leadership, I look at all these particular structures that may not fit within the gaming culture. I'll give you a broad example. You look at a federation's post when they post a man in a suit and tie, and you expect that to appeal to gamers. Federations, I have no issue federations being at the back end and maybe doing some back end work, but fronting them as one of the leaders of esports in the country, I don't see how that fits within the culture. If you look at the Western world, you look at all these successful brands, 100 Thieves, Face Clan, Optic. These are private organizations that have managed to pull off that sync within the culture and their fan base, and they've managed to grow community, and they've done so much, and within themselves they have words with publishers, because they have seats with some of these publishers, because Optic can come out and have a meeting with Activision about something in Call of Duty. So if that can be done, why then we need some sort of maybe government body to kind of run this thing? To me, that's like one of my key points. I feel like we should be investing more in our own private organizations, build a business around it, find a way of sustaining it, and then start the task of developing this activity, within the country. That's my general take when it comes to the federation point.
I want to talk about Kenya. So there's a federation in Kenya, and I don't want to say too much, but I don't think they were appointed somehow from somebody who was not part of the esports industry. Somehow they got appointed as a federation, and that gives them a go.ke domain, but they don't even have a website. And largely they have not achieved anything. And they've not even approached the sponsors, who are the ones who pay for esports, right? So I'm a sponsor of esports, so I've never heard from them. But I think we should check it to Sylvia. So, we were talking yesterday morning about this, but, maybe, Queen Arrow, you can tell us, what has the Federation in Kenya done for players?
Okay, so the mic is yours, Queen Arrow.
I honestly can't say what they've done. Things on the, the reality is that I think they're just there to mooch around and just, I'd say, for lack of a better word, claim credit for stuff that they haven't done. They don't know, at some point they made an outrageous claim that they're the ones who brought Phil Spencer to the country. Honestly, I feel that it's really bad that they haven't done anything, because as I said, being part of the GF and seeing now the global esport, the global esports games and the IESF that's taking place in Israel, it's holding the country back from, really reaching our potential. And because if none of our players are participating in these games, it means that it's taking quite a while for esports to be legitimized in the eyes of the society. So I just feel that the federation needs to get its act together.
Okay. And just a little question for you. Do you think that the fact that you are now signed to UU gives you more credibility in the state of Kenya?
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Do you think that right now, with the fact that you're signed an international programmer on the EU team, give you more credibility in Kenya?
Sorry, it's that last bit I can't seem to hear. Sorry. Do you mean repeat that one last time?
Okay, so I said, do you think that the fact that you are assigned pro player to EU esports team give you more credibility in the local scene in Kenya?
I feel that it's showing that for a fact that esports is a legitimate career path, and more and more people are taking an interest in esports.
I think she muted.
I accidentally muted everybody. Unmute yourself, Sylvia.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't catch that bit. What I was saying is that I feel that it's a good thing that me being sent to an international team offers more legitimacy to esports here in the country, because more and more people actually want to understand how they can, get the same, I'd say, privileges, and just grow the local esports scene as a whole.
I think one of the other points that majority of the stakeholders in the space, that the main point most of the stakeholders are missing is presentation. Yes, education is a good thing, and I think I'm all for it, because most of these gamers have to be educated and all that in terms of how to push their careers and all that. My main issue I'm seeing with most of, again, the federations and some of the private bodies trying to push and go that education way is the fact that they're not investing enough time to understand the market they're trying to target. If you look at the people in this space, we have Queen Arrow, they Strike, I think even Unicorn was around. These are the gamers that you are trying to target. Yeah. But I'll be honest, if you come and ask me, now I'm being 100% genuine here. If you come and ask me that any federation has come out and put something out that has appealed me as a gamer, I'll be honest and I would say zero. No federation has actually come out to to persuade me to actually partake in some of the activities. What you ask yourself, why in this space we do not have gamers, and they're watching a Call of Duty stream, and then you relay back and tell sponsors that, oh, you have this attention and all that. Me, that's my biggest question right now. The presentation is so bad. Like, we haven't actually invested time in understanding gamers and what appeals to them. You're not going to front a person in a tight suit and a tie and a nice, well-lit conference calling gamers to come and attend a session. We need to understand, and this is the biggest issue I'm seeing with most stakeholders. And I think one of the main reasons why we have that issue is, I think, that age gap. As much as you want to be part of this space and you want to partake in the gaming and esports space, there is need for you to understand the market to point. If someone is to come out and ask me the esports market in Uganda, I can describe it using personas. I don't use data, I don't use statistics, I don't use how many people on stage, I don't use any of that stuff. So to me, that's the main issue I'm facing right now as some of the big stakeholders. Some of the people that we have here are the ones who can connect to publishers, are the ones that can talk to governments, because most gamers can't. But we need to see that presentation. If you fail to do it, my suggestion, by the way, if federations fail to do it, let them remain in the back end and rely on brands, gaming brands, local gaming brands that are already popular within these spaces. I was personally part of the African Esports Federation. I don't know if there were two or there was one. But I left. The reason why I left is because I realized we don't share the same culture. I was seeing the narrative they're trying to push was 100% okay. I was in for it and I was so down to go full force. But when I sat down, I was like, what job are these guys actually doing to appeal to people? If you look at their social media, there's nothing. Apart from posters of, you can't just have an esports or gaming social media and all you're posting are posters of conferences. Like, there is a very big disconnection, and this is something that I really want us to adopt. I don't want us to over discuss it, but it's something I'm really putting out there for us to start digesting as some of the prime stakeholders. Let's start thinking about it. Liquid Telecom has done a very good job. They've worked with direct people like PSG, and they've pulled off some of the best events in East Africa. Unfortunately, I've been in Uganda, I can't attend some of these events, but I really want to, because you see the setup. I think they have Nikon coming up or something like that. But you will see that they're not doing much. They're giving creative control to these private brands that have the direct impact to the gamers, and not necessarily coming out and running the show. Because right now, no disrespect, but a 46-year-old man is not going to come out and say something about gaming and have young kids listen. It's impossible. And this is not like to disrespect him, but I just want to put the facts out there, because we need to understand the market we're trying to target. Gamers are looking up to some of us as stakeholders, and they want us to actually start, pushing. You may be 40 years, but then educate yourself about the space, you know? Educate yourself about the space. I've had some prime investors within Uganda come out and talk to gamers, and because I've told them the same thing, go educate yourself about the space. You want to become a big personality within the gaming space in Uganda. Yes, there's a bit of a disconnection because of age, but educate yourself and know exactly how to, what sort of language, what sort of terminologies to use when you're trying to talk to these gamers. So that is something I really want us to work on as stakeholders. And yeah, basically I think we need to work more with these private brands, that these private communities that are running the show. And let us as federations remain in the background, do that dirty work. Kids don't want to know who's signing what contract, which publisher. All they want to know is that, okay, so there's a server in Uganda, that means I can play Call of Duty on 12 ms. That's all we want to know. You understand? So we need to understand the language there. So pick up the people that want to run the businesses, you know, pick up the people who want to be educated from the business perspective, you know, the few people that are actually here. Pick them out, educate them, and use them, you know, start getting personalities within this space. You know, as a federation right now, instead of having tournaments, you'd want to send personalities, and not even opening up country federations. Go to Kenya and pick up Queen Arrow as a personality for the AEC, and let her do some work. Let her give her the creative freedom to tell you what to do. Don't tell Queen Arrow, we want you to hold a conference about esports and let's educate people about it. No, tell her to do what she thinks can fit within her market, her community, and let her do her thing. You know, this is a very big take, and I really hope that it sinks in deeply, because I want to see some change happening. I'm all for federations. I was one of the first people. I'm actually the first person to start esports in Uganda. Federation was one of the first things I was going to do, but I completely backed out and I stopped at it because I realized there was a cultural gap. Gaming is something entertainment. It has that entertainment push, content. It's casual, competitive. You know, we need to understand some of these things and then present ourselves better, or use other bodies to present ourselves. Thank you.